Other things to share with you tomorrow. We hope you join us. We're having a great time. Hope you are too.
Mediterranean Getaway continues on CBS This Morning. See you tomorrow.
Have a good day.
The Getaway, coming up in Cannes, France.
And good morning to you from Monaco this morning. What a delightful day here. Another great day on the Riviera, home to some 27,000 people and the Grimaldi dynasty. They've been around a long time here, since the late 1100s. They've been ruling this principality.
Welcome back to our Mediterranean Getaway. I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Paula Zahn. Good morning again.
Getting awfully used to this.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to, isn't it?
Yeah, let us show you around Monaco a little bit. To our immediate right on the point where you see the flag flying, is the home of one of the great oceanographic institutes anywhere, and the oldest in the world, the one associated with Jacques Cousteau for all those years. That's right on the point.
Right around the corner from there is probably one of the most picturesque jails you're ever going to find.
If you're going to go to prison, that's the place to go, with a great view of the Mediterranean. As you go along the coast, well, this is just a little kind of a cove, the old harbor here in Monaco. The sort of formal-looking buildings there are part of the government, and then as you travel along a little bit farther, you see
a palace which sits on top of the fortress there, and we see a white flag waving there, which means Prince Rainier is at home this morning.
That doesn't mean surrender?
No, no.
Okay. So as we travel along with the maritime Alps flashing right up from the harbor, you see the old red roofs. By now we know the red roofs mean Ville, Monaco, or the old town.
You see lots of winding streets, which you're going to see a lot of over the next couple of weeks as the Grand Prix comes to town, gets underway in 2 weeks from today.
Some of the great old hotels here along over to our right, the sandstone-looking ones, the Hermitage, which is where you encountered someone here yesterday.
I hung out there on the balcony for a while yesterday and caught up with Prince Albert. And you're going to hear part of that interview a little bit later on in the broadcast.
And then as we sweep around all the way, the very ornate looking building with the green roof over there is where the casino is, and that is Monte Carlo.
And that's what gets a lot of people in trouble here. But we have lots in store for you this morning. More conversation about the Cannes Film Festival, which has now gotten underway. Gene Siskel and Steve Komeckko are going to be along.
Brooke Shields has a movie that she'll be showing at the Cannes Film Festival, and she'll be along here to talk to us live this morning, and lots of other good things, too.
Time to get back to television reality now in the day's news. Here's Victoria Corderi. Good morning. Here are we?
Thanks, Victoria. Mark McEwen is up in Monte Carlo at the casino, and the kind of car I think you look best in. Mark?
Hi, Mark. Good morning.
Good morning, Paula. Good morning, Harry. Yes, I'm driving out here in front of the Monte Carlo casino in a car that, well, it's got a pool, it's got a basement, it's got a bowling alley in it. It's a Rolls-Royce Corniche, by the way, and I think I look pretty good in it. A little white Rolls-Royce. Behind me is the Monte Carlo Casino. The Monte Carlo Casino was built in 1856. On one side of it's an opera house, and that was built in 1878. It has the #1 gaming receipts in Europe, and in case you don't know what that means, it means they make the most money right inside there. This is the place that James Bond would come to and say, Bond, James Bond. Well, I'm Mark McEwen, 00 weather, and let's go to that for a second. Let's go take a look at the map back home. This is 150,000 francs, $30,000. I'll be going inside just a second. Right now, I got to find the valet parking. I'll see you later. Back to the harbor.
You're going to spend a lot of time there, Mark, to afford that car. Prince Rainier in Monaco became a household word back in 1956 when the prince, of course, married Grace Kelly. Their children, Caroline, Albert, and Stephanie, of course, have kept this place in the public eye. Tourists may come here because of all the publicity surrounding it, but they stay here because this little principality ruled by Rainier is probably one of the most picturesque spots around. For 40 years, His Serene Highness Prince Rainier III has ruled this modern-day Garden of Eden.
Les clous d'argent suivants.
It is a postage-sized principality, less than 1 square mile. A 15-minute drive will take you border to border. It is home to about 28,000, but only 4,000 are native Monegasques. They enjoy a paradise of pink and pastels where they pay no taxes, do no military service, and enjoy pensions of 100% of their salaries. Poverty, pollution, and unemployment are problems they only read about. There is 1 policeman for every 70 subjects, and the streets are protected by security cameras at every twist and turn. It is often said that Prince Rainier has the Midas touch. Almost every facet of life here is under his control. Both the legislature and the judicial system are his domain. Monaco is quite simply Rainier's family business. One key to Rainier's magic touch, it is tourism. Every year, millions devour every square inch of the square mile. First on their list is the Old Town, perched high on the rock. Its cathedral, winding streets, Oceanographic Institute, and yes, overlooking the Mediterranean, a jailhouse on the rock. At the foot of the rock lies the area known as Condomine, an old-world business area where ordinary folk live and work. Most tourists barely pause in the area known as Fontvieille, a man-made peninsula. Monaco is trying to develop light industry here, but for those who share the lifestyle of the rich and famous, Fontvieille provides a harbor of tranquility. It is the casino that most come here to see, and the glitter and sparkle of the nightlife that goes along with it. No cameras are allowed inside the gaming rooms. A huge portion of Monaco's income comes from this source, and those rolling the dice must go undisturbed. Then there is the Monaco few tourists get to even catch a glimpse of, but the one they know all about. It is fairy tale land, with not just a prince, but princesses and a student prince. Shortly before Grace Kelly became Princess Grace, she sang the words of a song that seemed to come true for her in real life. And the fairy tale began. When she died in 1982, the people here said she would be irreplaceable. Albert was just too shy, Stephanie too rebellious, and on her way to a most un-princess-like lifestyle. And after a disastrous marriage to Philippe Junot, Caroline was considered déclassée. But that was years ago. Now many Monegasques say that Caroline is the most precious thing they have inherited from Princess Grace. It is sweet Caroline and her children by her new husband, who are the focus of the fairy tale now, and the focus of a life that is seldom without an event. In January, a festival of the circus. In the spring, the Red Cross Ball and the tennis festival. Then there is the Rose Ball, the Grand Prix, the Offshore Grand Prix, the ballet. Recently, Monaco celebrated 40 years of Rainier's reign. Every Monegasque was invited to the celebration. Rainier smiled, heir to the throne Albert smiled too. Stephanie was demure for the day. Caroline and her children danced hand in hand in the palace square, and the fairy tale lived on. I guess as you peek in on this place, you tend to forget that it's actually less than 500 acres. It could fit inside Central Park, and the Army and the orchestra are the same size.
Makes some
what
sense.
What a place, huh?
Yeah, nice. It's 16 minutes after the hour. Coming up next, the stars and the glitter of the Cannes Film Festival. Cannes Film Festival opened last night down the road a piece here, and our entertainment reporter Steve Kometko was at all the opening night ceremonies.
First time I've been to the Cannes Film Festival. It was an interesting experience, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. Let's get on to what actually happened. Part of the tradition of the opening night at the Cannes Film Festival is a star-studded, glamorous gala. It's lots of people, lots of press, and much ado about something.
An estimated 12,000 members of the international film community are in Cannes for the festival. But it's only a handful of those high-profile visitors that the 4,000 journalists who are also here are here to see. As they arrived on opening night, the paparazzi and the fans were frenzied. The loudest cheers seemed to greet the arrival of the American movie stars. Lauren Bacall, father and son Sheens, Martin and Charlie. Clint Eastwood, accompanied by Marissa Berenson, the co-star of his newest film. Also making grand entrances, Nastasia Kinski, Claude Lelouch, British filmmaker John Boorman, and Japanese director Akira Kurosawa. Akira Kurosawa's Dreams claimed one of the most prestigious spots on the festival's program as the film opening the festival. Akira Kurosawa's Dreams is not in competition here, but some 50 other films are. Among them, Eastwood's White Hunter, Black Heart. White Hunter, Black Heart is loosely based on the experiences of the late director John Huston. His daughter Angelica sits on the jury that will be judging Eastwood's work.
Last night to go from Sergio Leone to a definitive movie on jazz and on to this project, I think is tremendously eclectic and very interesting, and I look forward to seeing his film.
Heading this year's jury is Italian filmmaker Bernardo Bertolucci. Other jurors include Swedish cinematographer Sven Nykvist and French actress Fanny Ardant. Like Hollywood, Cannes has its traditions. And as in Hollywood, in Cannes, the evening ended with a party. A party where this international movie hoi polloi mixed and mingled amidst candlelight and champagne.
It's an important event in the movie world,
And from a personal standpoint, the opportunity to be here and participate?
yes, well, I'm still alive. I'm still part of the movie world. I'm still working, so I'm very happy to be here.
And there's no doubt that their pictures are different than ours, and we have to learn to appreciate the European picture because it is a different rhythm. They are different stories.
I've been here twice before. I enjoyed it both times immensely.
It's wonderful. It's my first trip, and I'm having a whale of a time.
Impressions.
You know, having been assigned to cover so many similar big events in Hollywood, I couldn't help but draw some impressions and some observations of my own. Two things jumped out at me: fans and fashions. There were a lot of fans. They were excited, but by comparison to American fans, they seemed subdued. American fans chant, they bring banners, they dress as their favorite stars, for example, at the Oscars. Fashions, all I can say is, if that is haute couture, get me to Kmart. I was so surprised by some of the outrageous outfits these people were wearing. This one woman, I swear, was wearing an orange vinyl dress. It looked like a picnic tablecloth. Her husband had an orange jacket to match. Clearly, they coordinated their outfits in the dark.
The bon chic beau genre.
I guess
Yuppies we were talking about yesterday.
we talked about from Cannes. Steve, thanks so much.
Thanks, Steve.
It is 22 minutes after the hour. Still to come, critic Gene Siskel with more on the Cannes Film Festival, and Brooke Shields as we continue from Monaco. Stay with us. Welcome back to the home stretch of our Mediterranean getaway. I'm Harry Smith.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Paula Zahn. Thanks for joining us this morning.
We're here in Monaco.
where much history has been made. You know, the Grimaldi family has ruled this place for the last 700 years. It's sort of an interesting story how they got control of the place. Frank the Rogue, in the year 1297, dressed up as a monk, headed up that hill there, took over the fortress, and the place has actually been in control of the Grimaldi family since 1297, except for a very short period of time when Napoleon came to power.
And that's the monks are somehow on the coat of arms, right?
Exactly, two monks facing each other, and
right.
Swords facing each other.
We're going to meet one of the heirs of the Grimaldi family a little bit later on this morning.
Prince
Cannes
Albert.
Film Festival is going on just down the coast. Gene Siskel has some news from there. He'll be joining us in a couple of minutes. Brooke Shields is presenting the first film she's made in over 5 years at the Cannes Film Festival, and she'll join us live in just a couple of minutes.
And Jean actually spent a lot of time with Lauren Bacall. He became her walker last night. We'll tell you what that was all about when he comes along.
Escort, no less. Time now for the news. Back in New York, here's Victoria Corderi. Vicky?
He's changed locations again. Out of that Rolls Royce, now he's inside. Well, are you inside yet? Hi, Mark. I can't see you.
Hi, Paula. Yes, I am inside. I'm inside the Monte Carlo Casino. There are general gaming rooms, there are private gaming rooms, and there are super private gaming rooms. I'm in one of the private gaming rooms right here. The difference is the money gets up a little higher when it comes to a minimum bet to get into the room. And the super private ones, you have to be a very important person. I'm just in the private one, kind of an important person. In a second, I'm going to introduce you to a croupier, a gentleman who's been here for many years and give us some insight into the room. But right now, let's talk about the weather back in the East. And I am here with Pierre Catalano. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Nice to meet you.
You've been a croupier you were croupier for how many years?
Croupier, it was exactly 16 years, but I am in a casino Monte Carlo since 1930, and I finished to work in October 88. It's 58 years in the casino Monte Carlo.
And for the people back home, croupier is a dealer. It's a very, very fancy word for the word we use for dealer. You have also, what sort of Americans have you seen that have come through here?
Oh, so many. I saw Jack Warner, Zanuck, Litvak, Mike Frankovich for the Columbia film.
Frank Sinatra?
Frank Sinatra, Marwin, Kettner,
many of them.
Kettner,
Well, I tell you,
and so many heads.
We're going to play a little roulette. I have 150,000 francs here. I'd like to put on 3. Let's see if we can get 3 black. You spin the ball one way and you turn the wheel another way. What happens if the wheel and the ball both go in the same direction? Then you have to stop.
Yes, I must stop straight away.
Well, 150,000 francs is $30,000.
Hey.
I lose.
You lose, eh?
Oh, well, what can I tell you? We'll be playing a little bit more, and we'll be talking to Monsieur Catalano a little bit more as we go a little bit further into the show. But right now, from the roulette wheels of Monte Carlo, now back to the harbor in Monte Carlo.
Trey
Thanks very much,
Doesn't
Mark.
he look great? His tuxedo?
Gallant. This is really the part of the world where people celebrate life and celebrate film, and the big film celebration is just down the coast in Cannes. And our Gene Siskel was part of the opening night festivities last night, and there's some news that you bring us this morning?
Well, at the opening night party, I was talking to Terry Semmel, one of the key executives at Warner Brothers, who told me that Warner Brothers is going to build in Russia 2 10-theater screens, 10 in Moscow and 10 in Leningrad. The Russian government has decided that they want 2 of those screens to be dedicated to Russian films. 20% of the films will be shown. They've given them the land. It's up to Warner Brothers to build this now. And the Russian government told Mr. Semmel that he would do well to go outside of Russia for construction and for materials. It is an extraordinary event now. American movies coming to Russia in regular movie theaters.
With construction costs, what they are over there, that's got to be a great sound business deal.
What he was saying is that the conditions are so bad in Russia. They're so lacking in product and material and training that they're going to have to go outside. He went through all of the Eastern countries, Eastern Bloc countries, and Hungary was the most progressive. And so we're going to have the colonization of film, American film, is going to continue apace right now.
I wonder if it'll take him 15 years, what it took McDonald's 15 years to get their franchise, I mean, to get it to specifications anyway.
And speaking of film, I've seen 3 in the last 24 hours, and the projection, I was telling you this yesterday, the projection is so gorgeous and beautiful. I have liked all three of the pictures, and I'm not exactly sure if it's the projection and just the glory of being in a huge theater. I always thought that you should see every movie in Radio City Music Hall in New York. It's so great to see it on that scale. The opening night film, Dreams, 8 Dreams by Kurosawa, 80-year-old director, and he chooses ecology as his theme. Saving the Planet. It's a film I know I'd like to take my children to see. They can handle this foreign language film. I want to take them. A film that says that the most important things to human beings are water and air. Among many other things. And this is an 80-year-old man laying it right out. Some of the dreams don't work at all. A few of them do. Clint Eastwood, just saw that. Just came from Cannes right now, having seen the Clint Eastwood film.
How is it?
It's very good. He plays John Huston, filming The African Queen. He does a good job playing John Huston. There is another picture called Korzak by Andrzej Wajda from Poland. Those two films have, oddly enough in them, strong statements against anti-Semitic behavior.
Which is particularly significant in this country in light of what's happened here.
There was a terrible story of a desecration of a grave of an 81-year-old man. His body had been in the ground for 15 days. They tore it up, put a beach pole through it, and in the papers it just said outrage. The tabloid paper here at Cannes, outrage. And so it's so great to have these films reflect what's going on in the world.
We understand you were the focus of the paparazzi last night, Gene.
Well, actually,
Was it what you were wearing,
it was the
or?
woman on my arm. Lauren Bacall didn't have a date for the party.
Who?
The big party afterward.
Who didn't have
Lauren
a date?
Bacall didn't have a date.
Is that unimaginable?
She grabbed my elbow. And
The
so
official walker
I
now.
was her walker. I was Jerry Zipkin, you know, youthful Jerry Zipkin walker. And I ended up telling her to buy a Laserdisc machine.
that was a conversation.
And I also told that to William Styron. So if I tell them, I'm obviously telling our audience.
You're here for the next week or two, and we'll hear from you on Monday and Tuesday as well.
Great.
Spending a lot of time in the dark over the next 2 weeks.
Thanks a lot, Gene.
And getting a suntan.
Yeah. 19 minutes before the hour. Still to come, Prince Albert's, some princely yachts, and more from Monaco. Brooke Shields became famous as a young girl in movies like Blue Lagoon and Pretty Baby. Now, 2 weeks from her 25th birthday, she's playing a very grown-up role as a therapist in Backstreet Dreams, which is being shown at the Cannes Film Festival. And Brooke Shields joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How many years since the last movie?
Well, actually, it's been 2 years since, yes. Mm-hmm.
You were in Cannes once before?
I actually came here for Pretty Baby, and then I was able to come back again one more time. But this is really the next time that I'm here to promote a film.
Are you nervous at all to bring this movie here?
No, I mean, I think I'm more excited than nervous. It's always very exciting to sort of be in such an environment like this and have a picture here. You know, it's a hectic trip. I mean, and I just got finished with a very hectic trip. So.
Yeah.
And
so this movie, this is your first real sort of meaty adult role. How did you come by it, and what is it about?
Well, I play a child psychologist working with autistic children, and it also is a romantic story between the father of a young boy and myself. And basically, you know, I finished college and I took about a year off, and had read the script and liked it and thought it was a good opportunity for me, and just really liked the part because it was a serious part and because it seemed it would have been a good opportunity.
Yeah. You just flew in here to Nice this morning from
Yes.
Frankfurt, and before Frankfurt, you were in Moscow.
Yes, I was in Russia doing a USO show with Mr. Hope, and in fact we were promoting this film. A funny thing happened, and evidently on the cue card someone had messed it up and said, Bob says to me in the monologue in Russia, he says, well, I understand, Brooke, that your new film, Backseat Dreams, is... I almost died. I mean, I'm out there on stage in front of 6,000, you know, naval officers and Marine men, and I said, Bob, no, it's Backstreet Dreams. And he looked at me and he said, honey, you can dream where you want to. I'm going to dream where I want to.
How many times have you worked with him, do you know?
Yes, I'd been on, will be my 24th time on his show.
Yeah. What do you like best about working with him?
He's a very professional man. I mean, he's so genuine in what he does. He's first of all, he's a workaholic, but I think I've learned a lot from him in being professional and just wanting to do the best job that he can, and he's got time for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Princeton, 3.5 grade average. Majored in French. Really, in a lot of that time, somewhat distant from public appearances and films and that sort of thing like that. What did you learn in that time away from the hot spotlight?
I think I learned much more than what I learned academically. I learned a great deal about myself. I became much more a person. I gained a lot of credibility, not only within myself and for myself, but within the industry, because I have something very substantial that will just help me throughout my life. And I think that it just gave me a chance to grow up a bit. I mean, God knows I need more of that, but...
Because one of the things you also did was you took, what, almost a year off after you graduated?
I did. Actually, I took a year off after school because I just wasn't ready to go full force right back into the work world of mine. And I really wanted to just get away, so I went to Idaho and I trained and biked and ran and swam and just really sort of got more comfortable.
What kind of goals do you have for yourself? What do you see yourself doing 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
Well, I guess I have many different goals. You know, there's professional goals and personal goals. Professionally, I would like to be able to play a variety of different roles. There's actually another film here that I'm going to be promoting where our working title is called Big Yellow Mama, and that's a very different type of a role. I think I'd like to be able to play as many different roles as I could possibly play. Personally, of course, I want to have a family and
live happily ever after.
Live happily, and I will too.
Good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
Paula?
And when we come back, we're going to take a little stroll through the yacht basin and show you some of the yachts that rent for about $700 an hour. Such a deal. We'll show you when we come back. Day to rent some of these bigger boats. Of course, they don't rent them by the minute, so none of us here on the staff have gone aboard.
Or the second. Maybe we could step on board for just a second. Prince Albert in the next hour. Much more to come from our Mediterranean getaway on CBS This Morning.
Come along. We'll see you later. Snappiest version yet of our morning theme there. Those are the Gypsy Kings you're listening to. International stars now have gone platinum or gold in some 15 countries, and they claim they still live as gypsies today. And they will be playing for us a little bit later on this morning. Welcome back to CBS This Morning. I'm Harry Smith. Good morning, everybody. I'm Paula Zahn. Lots of business ahead this morning. Catching up with the Prince. Right. Prince Albert. Mark Phillips, CBS News correspondent. Mark Phillips has a hard-fought story that he won on some of these boats behind us here, what they cost and what they're all about. And we still have a couple of side trips, a couple points along the Riviera here that we want to show you yet this morning. That's what's amazing about this place. It's less than 1 square mile wide, and you only have to travel about an hour to get to all these great medieval villages. Really great places. Time now for the news. Victoria Corderi is back in New York. Good morning, Vicki. Of course, in Monaco, we're on the other side of the jetty now, and you can see the beautiful, sparkling Mediterranean behind us. This part of the world is famous for its ancient towns and, of course, for its beautiful beaches. And if you want a little bit of both, a great place to visit is Antibes. Antibes is a vibrant, bustling community of town squares and a working city on the move. Through the ancient streets of the old town, one wanders in and out of the quiet and the flamboyant, the mundane and the memorable, and out of the old world into the new. It is a city of striking contrasts. The medieval Fort Carré once guarded the port of Antibes against foreign invaders. Today, it stands guard for the super yachts of the international power set. For their living quarters, they move through the town to Cap Antibes. Here, the homes are grander, the security tighter, the tastes more expensive. But as is often the case with contrast, and as it was first said by the French, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Just over the hill over here is the casino at Monte Carlo, and that is where Mark McEwen is this morning. Mark?
Yes, well, Harry, I haven't gone out in a barrel just yet because I haven't lost all of my money. We're in the American Gaming Room. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Let's talk about the weather. I'm here with Pierre Catalano once again. We're in the American Gaming Room, and Pierre, they have American games. We have blackjack over here. When did they first begin playing American games in Monte Carlo?
In Monte Carlo, the American game began in 79.
1979. Over here is American roulette. How is American roulette different from Monte Carlo roulette?
Only one difference.
And that is?
2-0, and European game is 1-0.
1-0. Over here we have the crap tables, and you said while you were working here you have an anecdote to tell us.
Yes.
Tell us a quick anecdote about a man and his wife.
One night in the private room, we have a three couple, small gambler, and the wife asked her husband, I wanted to put 500 francs on the number. Let me know the number. And the husband answered, play what you like. No, you are more lucky than me. Tell me the number. Then play your age. And she put 500 francs on the 29. The croupier gives the spin, and the 34 came up. The husband, he was very upset. He said, why, stupid? I said to you, play your age.
So if she played her real age, she would have won. We have some slot machines over here. Let's take a look at the slot machines behind us. Do you play slot machines yourself?
No, never.
Never? Now, these are antique slot machines that we're going to talk about. Do slot machines do well here in Monte Carlo?
Yes, very good result, very well.
This is 1935. This is a 1937 slot machine. Let me put this in here. I think I put it in the wrong hole. Well, anyway, here we go. We'll put it up here real fast. That's my luck. Wow. Pierre Catalano, I want to thank you so much for being with us. It was a delight.
Thank you very much.
And from the guy who doesn't know how to work a slot machine in Monte Carlo, back to the harbor.
Do a pretty good job, though, Mark. Thank you. As you no doubt have noticed all morning, this is the kind of place that doesn't seem to be at all self-conscious about it, the hedonistic lifestyles that are lived here by any of the extravagance that you've seen all morning long. Some of the biggest yachts in the world come in here, and CBS News correspondent Mark Phillips took a peek.
Is this Fifth Avenue? An elegant cocktail reception on the Champs-Élysées? Nope. This tidy little gathering is on a boat.
Can you take this upstairs, please?
Thank you, Chef. Thank you very much.
Set up because we're ready to go. Showtime!
Yacht showtime, really. Some of the biggest, most opulent, most self-indulgent yachts afloat, gathering like lemmings in San Remo on the Italian Riviera. There to be gone over by agents and brokers whose job it is to match the extremely expensive with the unspeakably wealthy.
Fantastic. This is class.
This is Missy Harvey, an American charter agent from Connecticut. She likes it here.
Oh, you are too much, Commandante. Too much.
Too much might be the motto of this gathering.
Oh, piano.
Oh, and a jacuzzi, and silver, and gold, and art, and master's suites fit for a king, or people who can afford to live like kings, because these boats cost a king's ransom just to rent.
High season, all in, everything paid up. If you want to eat lobster all the time and drink Dom Perignon champagne, it's $42,000 a week.
Chartering a Lou now, the cost is $17,000 a day, excluded the expenses.
There's an old line about yachts. If you have to ask how much it costs, you can't afford it. Yet in this heady atmosphere, something funny happens to your mind. After a while in a place like this, galactic yachts at out-of-this-world prices start to make sense. $7,000 or $10,000 or $17,000 a day, $17,000 a day starts to seem like good value. Think of this as a toy store for the super rich, grown-ups living out childhood fantasies, where the boats are 150 feet long and the bathtub is the Mediterranean. Think of this as Yachts Are Us. $15 million toys. If money can't buy happiness, it can buy privacy.
As you'll see on one of the risers here, we have a red light which has been put in so that when the owner and his party are on the top deck, they can flick a switch and the red light goes on, and that means they want privacy.
I see. Well, maybe we just won't go into any more of that. Is this, what, a walking machine?
It's a running machine which was required on board by the owner to get a bit of exercise.
I thought he got all that up here with the red light on.
And who are these people who can afford to blow an average person's year's salary on a few days on a yacht? Well, business tycoons, rock stars.
We've had the McCartney family, Paul McCartney and his wife and children. They came on board for a week. 8 days a week, in fact, it was.
I don't pay tax, sir. I'm a tax exile. Sorry about that, but I am. I'm honest. Yes.
And who works aboard these boats? Just the sort of people you'd expect for the vicarious good life, reasonable wages, and unbelievable tips.
Tipping can be very good, sir. I can make as much as $2,000 on a 2-week charter last year with some very charming people from California. I hope they're watching right now. They're very charming. I'm not going to mention their name, but I hope they know who I am anyway.
Money may be no object in this world, yet money somehow remains the object. The yachts must have state-of-the-art satellite communication systems, so even on vacation, the Wheelers can still deal.
Standing in the bed for 1 hour with the satellite communication in his ear, discussing the price for everything, and doing business for millions of dollars.
They head off for the hot spots of the Med at this time of year, Saint-Tropez, Cannes, Monte Carlo, to enjoy the good life and to be seen to be enjoying it.
When you come into a Mediterranean port like Saint-Tropez, they all come down to the quay. And of course, the guest wants to be up there. Hi, I'm the owner for the week. And that's okay.
There's another old line about boats, that they're really holes in the water into which you throw money. Some holes, some money. For CBS This Morning, I'm Mark Phillips.
Now that's what I think is a lot of fun. We're seeing a sailboat come into the picture there.
That's nice.
You don't see a whole lot of those in this harbor in particular.
But look at the perspective. That looks dinky compared to some of the... That's a big sailboat.
And I assure you, that does not rent for $17,000 an hour.
I'm stunned by the wealth. I didn't know there were that many people in the world that had that much money. It is really
Well, it's very
amazing.
interesting. Only 5,000 of the 30,000 folks that live here are true Monegasques. The rest are other foreign nationals who have come here because it's tax haven.
If you know the royalty well enough, though, you can become an honorary or even become a citizen.
Does an interview with Prince Albert entitle you to that?
I don't know. We'll find out. That's coming up in the next half hour. It's 16 minutes after the hour right now. Coming up next, a lot of flamenco and a little rock and roll, the music of the Gypsy Kings.
Caminando por la calle yo te vi.
The music of the Gypsy Kings, a little flamenco, a little rock and roll. And
Wind's whipping up over here. It's actually 10 degrees cooler.
we just
on this
moved
side
around
of
to the other
rocks
side of the jetty, and we want to introduce you now to one of the lead members of the Gypsy Kings, Chico. Nice to see you.
Chico?
Now, you are all gypsies that make music, great old traditional music that's mixed with modern music. You still lead the gypsy lifestyle?
No, the business is the same now. We play every day with the children, with the old people, in family, in a caravan. We are the same every day.
You still travel in the caravan just like the good old days?
Yes. The group is one part in caravan, one part in apartment.
Now, your new album is called Mosaic.
Yeah, Mosaic is the influence from the world influence, from the rhyme music, the salsa music, the Brazil music, and the soul is gypsy.
Why don't we take a listen? Congratulations on all your gold and platinum albums there.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's listen.
We are very happy to come back in the States for the tour in June.
In June?
Yeah.
We'll look for you there.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Hola, compadre. Vamos allá.
Pienso con sueño para siempre no volverá más. Y me pintaba la mano y la cara de azul. Y del prodigio del viento rápido me llevo. Y me echa a volar en el cielo infinito. Volaré, oh, cantaré, oh, oh, nel blu dipinto di blu, felice di stare lassù. Y volando, volando feliz me encuentro más alto que el sol. Y de pasa del mundo se alejó de paso de mí. Una música dulce tocaba solo para mí. Volaré, oh, Busco un sueño parecido, no volverá más. Y me pintaba la mano y la cara de azul. Y del prodigio del viento rápido me llevó y me hizo volar en el cielo infinito. Volaré, oh, cantaré, oh, oh, nel blu dipinto di blu, felice di stare lassù. Bambolea, porque mi vida yo la aprendí a vivir así. Bambolea, bambolea, porque mi vida yo la aprendí a vivir así. No te da perdón de yo, tú eres mi vida, la fortuna del destino. Y a destino tendrás parado, lo mismo ya que ayer, lo pienso en ti.
It's the Grand Prix of Monaco. The big race is coming up in just about 2 weeks. Welcome back to CBS This Morning. I'm Harry Smith.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Paula Zahn. We happen to be standing not far from both the start and finish of the race, and it's really a fabulous race. 78 laps around this principality.
And these unbelievably expensive cars go unbelievably fast, up to 130 some odd miles an hour, up and down and around all these corners and around all of these hills. And about 100,000 people will show up in 2 weeks to help celebrate, which is probably the premier race in all the whole Grand Prix circuit.
I don't know you, but I'm awed by the speeds because I've been going 40 miles an hour around those hairpin curves, and that's pushing it a bit.
What do we have to look forward to in this half hour?
We're actually going to catch up with Prince Albert, who will someday rule this principality, and we had a very interesting conversation, which we're going to share with all of you shortly.
Time now for the news. Here's Victoria Corderi. Vicky?
Actually see Mark McEwen from here.
Hi, Mark.
There he is. He's up over the hill, down below the casino.
How you doing? As you can see, I lost my tuxedo tie. I lost almost my shirt. I'm actually a little more casual. We're going to be speaking with Alain Ducasse, who is the chef at Le Louis XV. It's his restaurant in the Hotel de Paris. It's the first time ever that Michelin's given 3 stars to a restaurant in a hotel. It's never happened. We'll talk to him in just a second. He's also... And I'm with Alain Ducasse, who is here. The 3 stars, congratulations on the 3 stars. Also, Marilee Lustig, our interpreter. And Alain, when did you first begin cooking?
J'ai commencé de cuisiner tout petit.
When he was very young.
When he was very young. And what are you making for us today?
Qu'est-ce que vous faites maintenant pour nous?
Je vais mélanger des fruits de mer, quelques légumes, et juste du citron et de l'huile d'olive. Donc il y a du lobster, des...
Olive oil, lobster, clams, fruits of the sea, as they call it here. Vegetables, tomatoes,
One
parsley.
thing, he has a great figure for a chef. I'm wondering how come he doesn't gain weight because, you know, eating all this good food.
On vous demande pourquoi vous ne prenez pas du poids parce que vous mangez toute cette nourriture tout le temps.
Parce que je mange que cette nourriture, et c'est la seule qui est bonne.
He says this is the only good food and he just tastes, he doesn't really eat anything. So
C'est une cuisine très naturelle,
it's a
parfumée,
very natural kitchen type of,
et qu'on a envie de manger au soleil.
and it's something that you feel like eating in the sun.
C'est tout simple, on va mettre un peu de poivre.
A little bit of
A
pepper.
little bit of pepper. What chefs, American chefs, do you admire back in America that maybe are your colleagues?
Vous admirez en Amérique qui sont peut-être vos collègues.
J'admire Wolfram Punk, qui est Spago Los Angeles. J'admire le chef du cirque, qui est un ami à moi, qui est Daniel Boulu. Et puis Jean-Louis Paladin, qui est un vieux copain, qui est à Washington, au Watergate.
A friend of his who's at the Watergate in Washington, the man who cooks at the Cirque in New York, and who's a personal friend of his.
And Spago in Los Angeles.
Right.
May I taste this?
Yes.
Let me have a taste. C'est magnifique. Alain Ducasse, merci beaucoup.
Merci. À bientôt. See you later.
All right, see you later. From the good food up here, back down to the harbor.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Food, the great surprise, but also I think one of the great surprises I found is driving around here.
Isn't it great?
There are so many lovely little towns nestled in the hill.
Every time you turn another corner.
Now, they take most of us an hour to drive there. This particular town would take you about a half hour the way you've been driving on these mountain roads. And one of these gorgeous little towns is Biot. It's a lovely old place with a very special attraction. The medieval town of Biot, perched on a hill not far from the city of Nice, has all the attractions of any of the other charming old villages in the foothills of the French Alps. Quaint streets, small squares, crafts and shops. It's a vision of the old world with an affection for the new. But Biot is set apart from the other villages by its glass-making. Visitors watch as molten glass is placed at the end of a long wand, blown, rolled, honed, cut, crafted, and baked into a beautiful piece of glassware. Beautiful glass is one of the many reminders of the past in the timeless world of the tiny village of Biot.
Each is hand-blown and hand-signed, and it cost a little bit of money. This is like a kind of an oil and vinegar sort of affair that cost about $35.
It's about $43, a little more expensive. A water pitcher. They're all hand-signed. If you look very closely, you can see them at the bottom here.
Fred. No.
Nice little treasures that we've picked up from all over the place here. And when we come back, we have a nice treat, a conversation with Prince Albert. I spent a little bit of time with him yesterday at the Hotel L'Hermitage, and we're going to share that interview with you when we come back.
Stay with us.
Prince Albert is not only the son of two famous people, Prince Rainier and Grace Kelly, he's one of the world's most watched and most eligible bachelors. And on top of that, an Olympic athlete and the next ruler of Monaco. I had a chance to talk with him yesterday, and I asked him when he was going to take over the throne.
That's, there's really no timetable on this. It's when he feels comfortable with it and when I feel comfortable with it, and I don't know when that time will be. I mean, certainly in the not too distant future.
Do you feel ready now?
I don't know if I should answer that.
Well, how does one go about preparing to rule this principality?
Well, I think when you're in any position of leadership or any potential position of leadership, basically you try to gather as much information as you can. And that's what I've essentially been doing over the years. And I mean, everything I do seems to fit in beautifully to what I'm going to do or what I possibly might do in the future.
Even when you were a little boy, your mother, Princess Grace, said you'd make a great prince. She even called you Albert the philosopher. Mm-hmm. Did your parents' expectations create pressure for you in any way at all?
No, not at all. I never really, I never really felt that, and I never suffered from that in any way. It was just something that I had grown up with, or that I was growing up with, and it was out there, and someday I'll have to deal with it.
But you and your sisters had to endure so much scrutiny growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Was that suffocating?
Well, I think it's anybody who feels like they're in the fishbowl or like they're being constantly under scrutiny can be, I mean, it can be unnerving and somewhat disturbing, and certainly we felt that over the years. And the press has constantly been after mostly my sisters at first, and then now they really go after anybody they can in the family. But it's been very hard for us at times, and you constantly have to keep your private life kind of on the side and never really let too much be exposed to preserve your quiet moments and your peaceful moments and to be yourself.
You were very close to your mother growing up. In fact, you're often described as being, probably out of all the children, most like your mother. What are some of the lessons she taught you that you still carry with you today?
Well, I guess basically best thing I can say is that she really told me how to, you know, how to keep a certain posture and how to go about life in a certain way, and really she prepared me for my manhood in a very significant and a wonderful way, and I'm very, very grateful to her for that. She's a wonderful mother.
You have some good news in the household. It's been announced your sister, Princess Stephanie, is going to get married.
Yes, I'm very happy for her. She's engaged, and she seems very, very happy, and I don't know when no one knows when the due date will be, but probably sometime in the next year or so. I can't tell.
And a question I'm sure you're often barraged with. When might we hear the same about you?
Wait. Wait, and you shall see.
It must be very tough, though. There again, you can't pursue anything in a very quiet way, can you?
No, that's also been part of protecting my private life. I try to keep things as discreet and as quiet as possible. It hasn't always been the case, but I've been very, very fortunate, though. I've been able to maintain my private life the way I like it.
Your Highness, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate your time.
So what exactly is Prince Albert looking for in a woman?
Good question. It's going to take a very special woman, obviously someone who loves him, and it's someone who would be willing to take on the responsibility of helping him rule the principality.
And
that's a lot of
living in the
baggage.
fishbowl.
Yeah, that's
right.
a tough job for anyone to aspire to.
I bet there are a few volunteers out
Well,
there.
yeah, there's a long list of them, but whether he will say yes or they will say yes is another question.
Much more to come from Monaco. It's about who needs a watch.
Yeah,
We'll be back.
We'll be back. You want to know what one of the nicest surprises of the week has been? The all-knee newscast here. Never seen your guys' knees before.
I tell you, it's a sad day. I had to go 3,000 miles. A guy named David Caprios from Rhode Island said, "Tell my mom Happy Mother's Day." Mom, there you have it from your son here in Monaco.
Nice messenger.
Yeah.
Biggest surprise? Any surprise or highlight for you?
Highlight, how good the food was and how classy, sophisticated, and elegant the Italian women were.
Ooh, that says it all, doesn't it?
My goodness.
I guess what I've been amazed by is the scenery. Just getting in a car and going through some of these back roads up into the hills. It's just extraordinarily beautiful. And there has been a full moon here shining on the Mediterranean. Big
night
orange ball.
after night after night. Last night it was rising up off the sea.
You know what, I was surprised? How much I remembered, or how little I remembered of 10th grade French. Bonheur, mes amis, you know, aujourd'hui, all those words.
Yeah.
But boy, what a treat. And meeting Ringo Starr, that was another highlight. I don't think I could have done that back in the
Jacques
States.
Cousteau. He lives right up on the hill over here, and he ran the Oceanographic Institute up on the point over there for years and years and years. And this guy at almost 80 and just what a spectacular energy. He says he's finishing 3 films. He's starting a magazine for children, a weekly magazine for children. And I said, and that's just the short list. I mean, he's a million projects. And
sounds like Stefan Grappelli.
So vital, yeah.
Spent some time with.
You know what was a surprise? There's no junk food here. There's no potato chips, no candy bars, really. When they eat real food.
They eat pommes frites, French fries. I saw a lot
Yeah,
of
but
those.
you can't go up and put a quarter in a cha-ching and pull pommes frites out of a machine.
What was a favorite person or place? Or
I enjoyed my time with Prince Albert.
Yeah.
I really found him to be a very gracious, thoughtful young man.
What a pressurized job.
I cannot
couldn't imagine being in a position like that.
He was very candid about what it was like to endure the kind of scrutiny those kids did. And he made it very clear it was very painful for them.
Well, you grow up, you're the creme de la creme of European aristocracy. That's a pretty tough spotlight to be in every day.
And it's no choice. You can't.
No.
There's no. I think I want to quit.
Yeah, it's just a summer job.
I think we should quit.
Yeah, we're almost ready to quit. We'll come back and quit in just a little bit.
PBS This Morning, here's a look at your
This week has gone by fast.
Yeah, it is time to go home. This wraps up our Mediterranean getaway.
And I can head back and see how my Mets are doing.
Oh, not them. Thanks for being with us all week long. We hope you've had a good time.
We have some things to look forward to next week. Clint Eastwood will be on the show. We're going to get an interview with him. He's here for the big film festival. And
Tim Robbins is going to be along next week.
Tim Robbins as well.
Yeah, I think he'll have a few things to say about that. Has this been a glorious week, gang, or what?
Not a bad job altogether. We want to show you some of the highlights of our trip. Let's head back to America and say au revoir from
Garçon?
the Riviera.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.
Se piace a Dio ti rivedrò, addio Cascine, addio Lungarno, non spero indarno, vi rivedrò, e tra la lilla 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 e tra la lilla la, non spero indarno, vi rivedrò.
Open up the collar. What do you think?
All right.
Is it more vacation
your
now?
You get your treat.
I get my
treat. All 9,000 calories of it.
E tra la lilla 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 e tra la lilla la, non spero indarno, vi rivedrò. Ad imbarcarmi vado a Livorno, ma il mio ritorno presto.
Pretty impressive wheels, huh?
E tra la lilla 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 e tra la lilla la, il mio ritorno presto sarà.
We're on top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Galileo did some experiments with gravity up here.
Il passo pompa, il passo che pompa. Speriamo che la casa, chiamo Giovanotti, a tutti i costi. Vai, my man.
Tarocchi Boni!
We have a very special day in our household.
It is?
Little Haley is celebrating her 11th month birthday.
Haley has
She'd
been
say
with
hello.
us all throughout Europe. She looks like she's just right for the Riviera.
Milord, vous asseoir à ma table, il fait si froid dehors. Ici c'est confortable, laissez-vous faire, milord, et prenez bien vos aises, vos peines sur mon cœur, et vos pieds sur une chaise, je vous connais, milord, vous ne m'avez jamais vu.
I can't understand a word he's saying. How is it you got so lucky to get on the boat?
Well, I saw that little boy catch a fish off the shore, and I got inspired because I thought if he can catch one, maybe I can catch one, because I'm usually very unsuccessful out there. Look, Harry, no fish.
You didn't do so well.
No, it's tough. Those mackerel are fast little things.
A game trial. A game trial.
Mom, I'm sorry. I went topless. We all did.
Jamais cru